Hi, this is the video for Daf Yod Bet of Masechet Ketubot. Today's sugya contains a couple mishnayot of great historical interest, but I'm going to focus on the first one, and that's the mishnah that says Ha'ochel etzel chamiv b'Yehuda shelo be'edim. Somebody who eats at his father-in-law's home without witnesses that would ensure that he had not been secluded with his wife. He cannot make a virginity claim because he has been secluded with her. Now this is a very strange Mishnah. The Mishnah seems to assume that in Judea, husbands and wives or betrothed couple have sexual relations. Okay, that is something that I have no problem with assuming, that Jews in different places had various degrees of caution with regards to the prohibition of a couple who are betrothed sleeping together. The problem is it's very strange to assume what's going to happen in this situation. He, let's say, was secluded with her. Let's say they had sexual relations before the marriage. In other words, after betrothal, but before she moved into his house. Beseder, it happens. Now what happens? He comes later on, she comes and moves into his house. Why would he make a virginity claim if he himself knew that he had slept with her, that they had had relations together, the two of them? In other words, he knows exactly why she lost her virginity. The guy who would make up such a virginity claim is a scheming liar, right? This isn't somebody who made a mistake, who wasn't sure. This is somebody who slept with his wife and then later on complained that she was not a virgin. Had he wanted to scheme against her, why not just make the virginity claim earlier? Why not marry her earlier and make that virginity claim earlier if it had been so important to him? So it's a very strange Mishnah. It's hard to imagine such a scenario actually arising. And then when we come to the Braita that we learned in the Talmud, we see that there were three customs in Judea. The first custom was for the husband and wife to have a moment, sha'a achat, a small amount of time of seclusion before the chuppah. Now, the Talmud and many scholars following the Talmud assume that perhaps even the point of this time for seclusion was for them to have sexual relations. But that sounds very strange. Why, if she is going to go into the chuppah in an hour, in a little bit, why have them secluded before the chuppah to have sexual relations when it's going to happen again or supposed to happen again in another hour? It seems very unlikely that the point of this seclusion was for them to have sex. It seems much more likely that the point was, as the Talmud says, for them to become slightly familiar with each other, kedei sheyeh libo gasba, so that he'll fall in love with her, a little bit of a chance to, let's say, look at her, talk to her, for the couple to be together for a few moments before the wedding proper. The other customs then show how cautious they were about virginity claims. They set up witnesses, these shoshvinim, these groomsmen. The groomsmen checked the room. In other versions, they checked the bride and the groom to make sure nobody's faking any evidence. B'kitzur, in short, it seems that in Judea, not only were they not callous about premarital sex, they actually were very cautious to make sure that the woman was a virgin and that when she came into the bridal chamber, into the chuppah, and to make sure that there was no cheating from the husband, cheating the wife, deceiving the wife, or the wife deceiving the husband. Now, I just emphasize this because some people have taken these two sources, the Mishnah and the Tosefta, the Braita, and said, from here you can see that premarital sexual relations was common in Judea. I think this is not true at all. I think at most what we can see is that some Galilean authors, perhaps the authors of the Mishnah, were biased against this custom in Judea, did not think it was proper for the husband and wife to be secluded even for a few moments before their marriage, and therefore created this sort of libel against this custom, saying perhaps that seclusion would lead to sexual relations, and therefore in Judea we cannot assume that any bride is a virgin going into the bridal chamber, into the chuppah. But I don't think that is historically accurate. I find it very difficult to imagine. I have no difficulty in imagining that premarital sex occurred. It probably occurred, I don't know if as often as it does now, but it occurred. But I have problem assuming that the sages and the halachic authorities set up a custom designed to encourage premarital sex. I don't think that that was the point of this seclusion. I think it was only for them to be a little bit more familiar with each other before they went into the chuppah.